God. Oh, people are so fucking stupid. We're getting dumber. We're getting dumber by the second, chat. I don't know. I don't know how to fix this. Okay. This is just idiotic. These guys just keep upping the ante, being like, no, Hassan is going to prison. He is going to be fucking shot by a military death squad anytime, any moment now. Any moment now. It's over. There's going to be a drone strike on his home. And it's like, and it doesn't fucking happen. And then people just double down and go, oh, it must be because he actually controls the levers of power, I guess. He must have like some kind of control over fucking Twitch. It's like, no, dude, it's not. It's because you just made this shit up on your mind. If you actually looked at this with a shred of scrutiny, you would realize that this is a completely fucking made up thing. It's not serious, it's not real. I don't understand why people voluntarily delude themselves to such a degree that they just give themselves schizophrenia. I don't understand. I genuinely will never understand this. Yeah. Also, this is the type of shit that these supposedly liberals are consuming. The content that this fucking dipshit has made. Myth of St. Floyd debunked. Walt Disney World corruption exposed. DEI abolished. LawTube called misogynist again, featuring Nate the lawyer. And it's like the only views that he's ever gotten is from dumbfuck people who fancy themselves to be liberals, who just want someone, yet another fucking person, yet another fucking person to just say like, Hassan sucks, he's bad, he's dangerous, he's going to prison. Keep reading the progressive voice tweets. They nuke Brianna. Yeah, I saw that. What we quickly discover is that most creators have very little desire to do either. This year's stronger community leadership. Built by the Internet for America, Progressive Victory is a new kind of political institution seamlessly marrying the electoral impact and volunteer power of traditional progressive organizations with the culture and community of digital third spaces. Dedicated to pushing the Democratic Party to the left, we partner with left-aligned content creators to achieve their disaffected, terminally online audiences, converting them into lifelong on-the-ground organizers, providing the necessary structure and resource to empower viewers and the volunteers. Our innovative community-first model utilizes familiar online space to introduce and demystify the world of political organizing. Progressive Victory embraces queer and neurodivergent, new to activism volunteers of all backgrounds, ethnicities, abilities. Over the long term, we aim to mainstream the online progressive power block burgeoning within the Democratic Party and prove that it is and us are too big to ignore. As you can see, our core organizing strategy is committed to replacing centrist Dems with real progressives. Does that sound like either Brianna Wu or Destiny? One final note: scrutinize us, criticize us, love us, hate us, call us out if you want. But our community is not Zionist. We back Mamdani and we'll back many more like him. You'll just have to let our future actions speak for themselves. I think the reason why people, myself included, assumed that there was a Zionist association with the organization, even though I knew that they like were working with like obviously people who were anti-Israel as well. You know, they weren't just like only working with pro-Israel people. Was because of the Brianna Wu and Destiny Association. It's like very understandable when an organization chooses to build on their foundations by like working with these kinds of groups, especially in their development phase. Like they are actively working with a guy who is at that point very famous for being a pro-Israel content creator, is like pro-genocide by his own admission. It's understandable, but at least it's good that it's healthy and good that they recognize that it was a mistake. You know? What is this? Can you confirm a Strader and Loner Box both just stated publicly that despite claims to the contrary in the past, you directed content creators with 5 stories to cover each week? I don't know what this is. What is this? I say this with love. The Schadenfreude. I say this with love, but bro, schedule an appointment with your barber. Your beard is getting out of control. Love you. Bye. Don't time me out. You got immediately blasted by the mods for good reason, to be fair. And I'm going to get a fucking haircut and a beard cut. But why the fuck do you care? I'm a goddamn adult. I mean, I'm not going to get a beard cut. I'm just going to, fix it up a little bit. I'm going to keep growing the beard. But yeah, I'm old enough to be your dad. Calm down. The next couple of replies are wild. If you follow through on this, and there will be a community that supports it, don't listen to Destiny posts spamming cuck. Seems like you're just throwing all the creators who are docs under the bus as a way to cover for Hassan, who thinks you guys are some weird dark money fund. Good move. I mean, what? I need to hear what you say. I know this was such a psychotic thing. The person that the EU foreign policy chief saying that China and Russia had no victories in World War II is so psychotic. It's not only obviously ahistorical, but like to say that is just like what the fuck? How much do you hate? Like, how anti-communist can you get at that point, you know? How anti-communist can you get that you just like envision an alternative reality? What is this? What the hell is going on? Yeah. She's about to be like, it's actually Germany. It's actually Germany that defeated the Nazis, which was in Russia. They were in Russia. That's how World War II happened. When the USSR did the Holocaust, and then the Germans actually fought them, famously. It's ironic because the USSR and China are the two countries on the right side of history that suffered the highest number of casualties. Okay? What the fuck? Here, this is the statement. Why is this? God damn it, dude. It's, oh my God. Oh my God. Does anyone have another? Chen Weihua, who just recently, after 38 years of working for China Daily, retired, says she's a stupid scumbag. Yeah, it's not, the video's not working because it's so busted. Very brave of her to say no one studies or remembers history anymore in the midst of confidently stating probably the most wrong thing anyone's ever said about the 20th century history. Like, even when we talk about like Chinese involvement, like, if you are even remotely aware of World War II history, and as a person who is like a foreign policy chief for the EU, you should fucking know at least basic shit about World War II. Like, but let's say you just like don't really fully know anything because like they don't teach it in schools that well or at all, like China's involvement. But to say that fucking Russia didn't do anything and was not involved or didn't like play a formative role in bringing about the decisive victory for the Allied forces is so insane. Reddit link if that works better. Radioactivity of drinking water in Estonia is among the highest in Europe. Yeah, she said, here, this is it. Kaja Kallas, the EU foreign policy head, doesn't even seem to be aware that Russia and China were among the winners of World War II. Immensely ironically, she dismisses it as something new and propaganda for people who don't read or remember history that much. Not sure how she explains how Russia and China got their permanent seat at the UN Security Council. Woke. That's how it was woke.
You know, that Russia was addressing China like you and like Russia and China, we fought the Second World War. We won the Second World War. We won the Nazism. And I was like, okay, that is something new. But then you can see. First, you can, if you know history, then, it raises a lot of question marks in your head. But, I can tell you.
What are they teaching? Like, what the fuck? What could you have possibly learned? Like, let's say you don't know about China, okay? Even though it's fucking idiotic. But what could you have possibly learned in school that eliminated the most consequential country for World War II? Like, how? How do you just say, like, oh, what do you mean Russia defeated, were the winner of World War II? Like, what the fuck?
Nowadays, people don't really read and remember history that much, which is that, you can see that they buy these narratives.
Extreme anti-communism in Estonia only covers the USSR reuniting the Baltics with it. Yeah, apparently China, I saw this video as well. China got so mad that a Chinese senior foreign leader literally called her, or a Chinese official called her a fucking idiot. It takes a lot for China to officially call a senior foreign leader an idiot, but that's what they essentially did with the EU's Kaja Kallas after she ridiculously claimed that China and Russia weren't among the winners of World War II. The statement made by relevant EU officials is full of ideological bias and lacks basic historical common sense and blatantly stokes rivalry and confrontation. This is disrespectful to the history of World War II and undermines the EU's own interest. It's preposterous and irresponsible.
欧盟有关官员的言论充满了意识形态偏见，缺乏基本历史常识，公然鼓噪对立对抗，既是对二战历史的不尊重，也损害欧方自身利益，十分错误，极不负责。中方对此坚决反。
Yeah, I don't understand, because if she's Estonian, like, doesn't that mean her like grandparents probably also fought the Nazis? Am I misunderstanding? Like, what? So, like, what the fuck? They are right about Russia, though? What are you talking about? No, they're not. What the fuck? Maybe they were collaborators or something? I don't know. Maybe her grandparents were collaborators? Because, like, every country has, every country and on that side of the world has its history of, like, going to the other major power and aligning with them, or at least having, like, collaborators. But regardless, none of this matters because ultimately, if you're looking at, like, an accurate assessment of historical events, something as formative and as important as World War II, to deny the involvement of the USSR, which bled like 20 million people, and then China another 20. That's crazy, man. That's like, these are on the Allied side. These countries took the most significant penalties, man. The USSR, 26 million. Sorry. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, far more than America. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? This isn't to discount, like, America's involvement. I'm not even saying that. But to say that the two countries on the Allied side that lost more people than any of the fucking Western Front countries is crazy. It's crazy. The fuck? These people bled. These people fucking bled. Russia did a fuck ton, but China, how much did China really do? Best is keeping Japan at bay. Dude, they had their own Chinese, Japanese version of the Holocaust. What the fuck do you mean? What did China do? Oh my God, please open up a history book, chatters. What the fuck is happening? That's crazy. Imperial Japan was doing the Japanese version of the Holocaust to mainland China, to the Chinese population. I don't deny that, but to compare Russia and China in World War II is just crazy. No, it's not. What the fuck? If I were to turn around and say America did nothing during World War II, they just coasted to a fucking comfortable victory, you probably would have a very you probably would be mad at me for saying that. Most people would. They'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Okay? The notion that like China just didn't do anything is crazy. I guess a part of that is because Japan just did the ultimate move, which was to deny their historic atrocities. You know? So people are just like oblivious. Yeah, look at the civilian deaths and military deaths for World War II. Like I said, China and the Soviet Union bled the most. China and the Soviet Union bled the most to secure a fucking victory for the Allied forces in World War II. Not even a question. It's gross. It's insane to just deny them their history. Isn't that the Chinese military flag? Well, the flag at the time during World War II was the nationalist force. So the communist Chinese, the communists were also fighting under the same banner, the nationalist flag. I am beginning to realize that a lot of people just don't know about Chinese history at all. I assume that you just didn't learn anything about it, so you're just kind of confused about everything that's going on. Like, do people not teach? Do people not educate? Like, do they not talk about like Chinese involvement in World War II at all? Is that like not even a question? Is that not just brought up? How do they teach people World War II and like the other side? You know, is it just like Americans came in and they bombed Japan and it was awesome, and then we nuked them, and then they were like, please, sir, no more. We will create anime. Is that how they teach it? It's like Nazi Germany was big bad. They were doing the Holocaust, which, by the way, fucking people didn't even know about it. That's not the reason why World War II happened. But I assume like the way that Americans learn about it is like Nazi Germany was doing the Holocaust and Americans wanted to protect Jewish people, and they knew that the Holocaust was happening. So, Japan also was helping the Nazis. So then they did a sneak attack in America, and then America was like, fuck you. And then They were like, you know what? We're going to save the Jews from the concentration camps. And then they invaded. They did D-Day. And then that's it. They brought in, they secured a dub on every front, basically. They secured a dub. They did Pearl Harbor, Japanese sneak attack. That pissed America off. And they were like, fuck you. Don't you dare piss off America. Hell yeah. And then they did D-Day. And then they also went to Japan and they bombed it. And then they nuked it because the Japanese were, refusing to concede. And then refusing to concede. And that's why they had to be nuked. And then anime. Is that how they teach it? Am I missing something? Literally, yes. No Asian resistance against Japan is mentioned. And EU allies are just a footnote for U.S. exploits. Brother, China nor Russia never came up in high school. It was entirely Anglo-centric. What the fuck? Ain't no way they don't teach you about the USS. Wait, what? No. How is that different from what actually happened? Saying that while we're looking at like military deaths and civilian deaths of the all allied forces is so funny. Like it's right in front of you how different it actually was. Like, look at the screen. What do you mean, man? Look at the screen in front of you. Fuck you mean? How is that different than what actually happened? So what happened to these guys then? I was taught some about the USSR, but it was largely focused on how Stalin is evil. What the fuck? Dude, this has actually been an eye-opening experience for me. I'm beginning to realize that, like, okay, I can't tell if you guys were just not paying attention in school and you're just like memeing, or if this is sincerely not taught. Like this profoundly important, world-changing sequence of events that took place that literally brought about the new world order that we exist under is not properly taught in schools. Like I'm Turkish and they teach us this shit because, Turkey was like, we'll see ourselves out of this. We already took one L with aligning with Germany one time. Okay. World War I, not a good bargain. We're not invested in this. We're going to see ourselves out of it. Sorry. That's a you thing. We're not doing it. And like, that's the Turkish involvement. So because of that reason, I think like they just actually do teach what happened in World War II as far as like all of the different parties involved. And it's not just America came in and fucking killed everybody. And it was awesome. High fives all around. Nobody else did nothing. This is a one-on-one of how Americans are taught.
My teacher?
Yes, little Hitler?
My desk is small. I need this Polish boy's desk also.
Everyone gets the same size desk, little Hitler.
Little Hitler, such a scam!
Now, class.
My teacher? I will need the Czechoslovakian boy's desk as well.
Little Hitler, where's little Pulaski?
Little Hitler, always having fun!
What's going on here?
It's not my problem. Now, it's my problem.
Little Hitler!
This is just a summary of how I was jokingly saying this is how it was taught in school. The education I received about World War II ended up leading me into learning a lot about World War II as an adult because I started to watch some documentaries that show how wrong we were taught about it. I feel like it'd be kind of funny to to just like go through like a history textbook in like a regular American high school. What the fuck do people do? American, first of all, here's a common misconception that I have had to clarify in these last 2 years, especially. Okay. I think because of the post World War II movies that came out, and many of them were like Holocaust concentration camp centric for obvious reasons, because it was a historic atrocity, that a lot of people think that America fought the Nazis because of the Holocaust. Like which was shocking to me. Like people unironically think Americans fought the Nazis because the Holocaust was happening. And that is just not true. That's not like, so when you watch Band of Brothers, for example, why do you think they're confused when they see the concentration camps? Shouldn't they have known if they knew ahead of time? Like, why is that a big moment of revelation in the TV series? Here, I'll use, Gunburger analogies in television because that's what Americans learn shit from, apparently. Hi, current high school teacher here. U.S. history, we have to teach us hyper-focus on American exceptionalism. We have strict standards that make America look its best. We have to teach the test for it. It's all fucked. I do my best to interject more. With the rules, it's tough. Like I think people I've met a lot of Americans that legitimately think that everybody knew the Holocaust was happening and America was like, this is unconscionable. We have to stop it. And then they came in and they did D-Day and the Nazis were like, no, like they don't know that like the Russians were the ones who liberated the camps for the most part. Like they think America was the one who, and then Hitler was just like rolling through all of the Eastern territory and only took an L because they like tried to invade Russia in the winter. That's the only reason. Like there was no battles. It was just a slaughter. They were blitzkrieging through all of its eastern flank. And everyone was like, oh, they were like, no, yet I wish the Amerikanisch would be here. My Tovarish, they could save us. And then the Nazis were just like, haha, we are killing you because Americans are not involved in this. And then they're like, oh mein Gott, ich kann nicht glauben, they found out about the Holocaust. Now they're attacking us. No, nein. And then Hitler killed himself. It's not quite that bad. They give the USSR some credit. They don't even mention anything about Italy or Spain. They just tell you Mussolini was a bad guy in Italy. What the fuck, dude? That's crazy, man. What is this? Oh, you found the chapter. World War II. There's a textbook. This is the middle school history book I used when they taught about World War II, and there was no mention of China in World War II other than one time. The United States joined with the European nations and nationalist China in a combined effort to defeat Japan. Oh my God. It literally is. Look. Britain and France declare war on Germany. Spanish Civil War ends. France falls to Germany. Japanese attack Pearl Harbor. Nazi death camps in full operation. Allies under Eisenhower launch D-Day invasion. Germany and Japan surrender. United States drops atomic bombs on Japan. That's crazy. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. Like, we make fun of like Aiden Ross and shit for not knowing how to say fascist, but I mean, if this is what you're learning, are you really learning at all? Hitler and the Soviets. The Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact. Wait, do they have appeasement in here? They do, right? Yeah, demands an appeasement. So they have appeasement. Fair, fair. For years, Great Britain and France have been attempting to make an alliance with the Soviet Union against Nazi. Yet in August 1939, Hitler shocked the Western powers by making his own agreement with Stalin. The Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact. Wait, that's upside down. That's crazy. Okay. The Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact was one of the last steps leading to World War II. By secretly agreeing to split Eastern Europe with the Soviets, Hitler knew that he would not have to fight with the Soviets when the war began. He invaded Poland about a week after signing the non-aggression pact. Despite this pact, Hitler did not intend to keep his promises to Stalin. The Nazi-Soviet alliance would last only until 1941, when Hitler invaded the Soviet Union. This is why French commies saw you as a golden rarity, a 24-karat gold Labubu. Another one, 50 best World War II American Army movies. As a Brit, they kind of cover the USSR involvement will push the Stalingrad and the Eastern Front, but China is never really mentioned here either, but also Pacific Theater isn't really mentioned outside of Pearl Harbor. Then it's like Pacific Theater, New Asian Order. What were the causes of World War II? I mean, they don't actually say that like the Americans knew of the concentration camps and that's why they invaded here, though, at least. It doesn't seem like it. I think that's like a movie thing. I think post-World War II movies is the reason why a lot of people are just like totally brain broken about like what happened in World War II. Because they hyper-focused on American intervention and Hollywood did a great job with that. It's like peak of the Cold War. They're making movies that either erase Russian involvement or I mean, yeah, just really greatly overemphasize American involvement or talk about the Nazi atrocities specifically during the Holocaust against Jews, which is the other thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like most people in America, I don't think realize that like Nazis didn't just kill 6 million Jews. The Nazis also put the Roma population in concentration camps. They put socialists in concentration camps. They put trade unions in concentration camps. They put communists in concentration camps. Like it wasn't just Jewish people either. And I think because of like the way that movies were, it was disabled people, exactly, Slavs. So I think like given the faucet of movies that came out, and this isn't to say that these were like movies that shouldn't have been made. I think that America's accomplishments in World War II are quite significant, and these are great movies in general. But I think that I don't know if this was a primary purpose or if it was just how things panned out, but this is the reason why that famous French study exists from 1945 all the way to 2005, where they polled the French population in 1945, like who played the most impactful role in winning World War II, and the majority said the USSR. And in 2005, when they polled the French population again, they said America by like an insanely wide margin. So I think like there is an entire there's an entire field of study dedicated to this, where people just have developed the wrong opinions. Like, look, yeah, see, 57%, French poll on which nation contributed the most in defeating Germany in World War II. Example of how history can easily be written by the victor. Okay. In 1945, they understandably said the USSR, 57%. By 2004, they thought 58% of French people said, or French people thought it was the United States, overwhelmingly, that contributed the most in defeating Germany in World War II. It's called World War II Historiography. They also skipped the American, Japanese internment camps. Yeah, just a little blip. The director of Enemy at the Gates made a movie about an SS officer's diary from Tibet and how the Dalai Lama was cool and Mao was bad. Taking the credit barely did any work. I mean, it's not true to say that the Americans did any work. It's just that it was far more consequential for the USSR than it was for the United States. But to say that they didn't do any work is also wrong. They did a lot of work. Great work, mind you. Okay? But the French reflection of who contributed the most in May 1945 is correct. All the comments are how it's because the French just hated the US back then and not because of historical revisionism. America's biggest contribution was incredibly vast manufacturing output. Sure. That was a huge contribution. Absolutely. I present to you the worst thing I've ever seen. DHS.gov. Homie is afraid of the entire Western Hemisphere. Yo, we suck so bad. We are the fucking Nazis. God damn, dude. This country is what a shameful experience. Of course, no one here has the capacity to feel shame. But god damn, dude, if we did, holy fuck, we should be feeling it. I certainly do. The money was old phrase. World War II was won with American money, British intelligence, and Russian men. I thought it was American steel. On World War II anniversary, China seeks to... Wait, what? On World War II anniversary, China seeks to erase U.S. role in victory. I don't think they are doing that. But it would be pretty funny if they were to do like what America's doing back to America now. You know what I mean? Seemingly after years and years of the United States of America just like erasing through its history books, through its movies, the involvement of both the USSR and China as well. We were taught in Canadian history class in high school that Stalin and Mao forced their parliaments to clap for them for hours, and the first person to stop clapping got publicly executed. Much of what is taught about the USSR and communist China was either North Korea style rumor mill bullshit or lies by omission. What? As a Canadian, that is not true. I'm telling the truth. Taught that too in Alberta. Dude, what the fuck? The history textbook chapters on 2016, 2028 are going to be so cooked. I mean, they're just going to be like, I assume if the fascists continue winning, okay, they will most likely reflect very positively on this era. They're going to say the Chinese bioweapon came and tried to take out our big, beautiful president. He fought back. The dear leader fought back bravely with valiant effort and activated some of the best patriots who we will cover extensively in the Ashley Babbitt chapter of our textbook. Okay? The hero of Ashley, the heroism of Ashley Babbitt will be reflected on in a chapter on its own. But before we get to the January 6 heroes, of course, or in the aftermath of the January 6 heroes, the deep state communist pedophilia, well, I guess at that point they'll legalize pedophilia, so they won't use that as a negative term to associate the Democrats with. They'll say the deep state communist vampires, also known as the demon rats, fraudulently stole the election in spite of the valiant effort of the heroic January 6 revolutionaries. And then after 4 years of death and destruction, Donald Trump was able to, the dear leader was able to win once again and bring about the great American prosperity that you can experience. This is the part of the history book where we want you to take a deep breath, because you can't really breathe poison any longer, but and look outside at the glorious bounties that he has brought. Do not pay any attention to the radioactive material that you see, nor the mushroom clouds that are developing outside of your window. Those are mushroom clouds of peace and prosperity. It's awesome. Yeah. The Great American Israel Alliance was actually secretly conducted by dear leader Donald Trump, and the secret communist demon rat Joe Biden actually tried to stop Israel from enacting its brave conquest against the parasitic force of the Palestinians. That's like another chapter in there. And they'll, I guess, talk about, like, you know, how brave the Israeli military is. This is the part of the chapter where you have to say 10 Am Israel Chais. If you don't say that, you will get executed by your teacher, who has a machine gun as a self-defense mechanism that was implemented in the second Trump turn to combat the school shootings that are taking place 3 times a day now. I don't think people will know how to read by then, truly. Yeah. Also, it'll be AI anyway. It's not. It's going to be PragerU, corporate sponsorship, machine gun turrets in every classroom. The teacher is AI. The machine gun turret is also AI. And also PragerU is AI as well. Everything is AI. Fox News YouTube channel was part of my high school history class curriculum. Stop. Ay, ay, ay. Everything's computer. Everything's transgender. Oh. Yeah. Great stuff. Fantastic. This was funny. Let's watch this.
In Israel, if you actually talk to the majority of Christians, talk to them, you'll see what they say. They say Israel is the only place where we're respected and protected.
And I can attest to that as a Christian who went to Israel. I spent 2 weeks there with the church, and we had an incredible time. We had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors, and it.
No. Brother. I mean, no notes. No notes. Officer Tatum shilling Shinergy, natural energy, natural lifestyle, is having a conversation with international war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. And as a Christian, he tries to talk about how wonderful his experiences were in Israel. And he says, we only got spat on one time. Amazing success. I don't get it. Isn't one spitting incident good? Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's a positive development. When I told you guys that Christians get spat on in Israel, a lot of you motherfuckers thought I was joking. It's not a joke. Okay? It's not a fucking joke, man. It's such a common meta that this dude literally said it as a positive that they got spat on one time. That's half a spit a week. You are misconstruing what he's saying.
Time, we had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors, and immediately after there was an adult that came by and said, that's not a representation of who we are. You know, we love you guys. You guys are always welcome here. And I have to say, no adults gave us any grief.
Yeah, no adults spat on us. Just one child. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's an awesome story. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You have proven. Am Israel high, you know?
We had no issues whatsoever in our experience there. It was actually an amazing experience.
In Israel,
please explain a bit more. I need explanation. Yes, dude. The fucking ultra-Orthodox settlers are fucking sickos who genuinely will just, like, if you go to Jerusalem, they will spit on you. That's it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why, but that's a thing, okay? That's a thing that happens in Israel, okay? Well, they're Jewish supremacists. What do you mean? Like, the way that, it's funny because, like, the way that fucking neo-Nazis, like anti-Semitic neo-Nazis present, like, how all Jewish people are, is not even the case in Israel either. But, like, Israel is a Jewish supremacist country, so, of course, they reflect Jewish supremacist values in Israel. There's going to be a lot more of that. It's a fucking Nazi country. And a part of that is spitting on Christians. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Here's a video. Oh, dude. Oh man. Oh. Dude, yeah. This happens all the time. It's worse around Easter when we march the old city. Oh. Is this AI or real? No, man. Why would this be AI? Bro, it's not like this is unique,
One
bro.
had spit on journalists, including our producers, just inside the Damascus gate of the Old City. Another had held a flag of Lehava, a far-right anti-Arab organization. A far-right, in some cases, a nationalist crowd here.
Like when they do the fucking Liberation Day events, like they're all just singing "Death to Arabs," "May your village burn." You know, it's just it's a fun little clan party. You know, it's just great, straight up. Like that's what it is when you got the Nazi youth congregating in the city to fucking celebrate how much of a Nazi they are.
Part of the flag march on Jerusalem Day, making their way into the Muslim quarter of the Old City. As we have stood here for several hours, we have heard some of the nationalist chants that have become associated with this event, with this flag march. This is Jewish land. We have heard Arabs are sons of bitches. We hate all Arabs. Those are the sorts of chants here. And
also, yeah, this isn't like just far right anymore. I would say that like big chunks of Israeli society used to say that these guys are not reflective of broader Israeli society. Broader Israeli society is very progressive, blah, 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 all this shit. But like post October 7, I think we've completely done away with that kind of approach, because like a lot of people clearly don't give a fuck that this is just how it goes.
And that is the feeling of the crowd as they make their way into the Muslim quarter here as part of the flag march, and then on their way to the Western Wall in the heart of the Old City of Jerusalem. It is not Ben Gvir's first time in the Old City today. He visited the Al-Aqsa compound earlier this morning, the Jewish Temple Mount, as it's known to Jews, where he says Jewish prayer is allowed here, which would be a severe violation of the status quo. It's a claim he's made before. It is clearly a position he has openly pushed, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has had to push back on that repeatedly, saying there is no change to the status quo, but that is very much what he has pushed, and that's what we've seen pushed here by this crowd. There was a flag here earlier today that said 1967, Jerusalem in our hands, referring to the Six-Day War when Israel seized the Old City of Jerusalem and East Jerusalem itself. And then right below that, it said 2025, Gaza is in our hands. This crowd very clearly in favor of the reoccupation and the resettlement of Gaza.
Which is, would you say in all sincerity that this position is now simply just a far-right position in Israeli society? Or would you say that this is now broadly adopted by every subsect of Israeli society, with the exception of the few anti-Zionist Jews in Israel? I'm not talking about the Palestinian citizens of Israel, but just the anti-Zionist Jews in Israel. I think it's inappropriate to consider this to be like a far-right position now. Because if this wasn't a far right position, if this wasn't like the true center position at this point, just like given something that is going to happen, then there would be Israelis going crazy at this moment. Not simply to demand a halt to the fighting to extract the remaining 20 hostages or whatever, but like genuinely, Israelis that are storming the streets to be like, this is unacceptable. This is fucking completely, this is inappropriate. We do not want to murder Palestinians. We do not want to occupy Gaza. So that's the situation. And for those of you who say, well, the Israeli new generation will be like hopefully we'll be able to find a better alternative. No, it's actually the Israeli new generation that is entirely fucking the Haredi population. That is the highest population density, because the ultra Orthodox are the ultra Orthodox are keeping the Israeli population above replacement rate. So every single year that goes on, there are more and more incredibly reactionary children. It's the like anti-Zionist or like even liberal Zionist Jews that live in Tel Aviv or have a deeper connection to the Western world, stuff like that. Like those guys either are leaving Israel or don't feel as connected to Israel, or just simply don't have children at the same levels as like the super far right militant ultra Zionists are having children. And that is a dangerous prospect that I have mentioned numerous times. It's one of those things that people clip chimp me all the fucking time when I say like Israel inevitably is going to become a nuclear armed state that is completely captive to the whims and the mercy of like uneducated ultra Zionist freaks. It's not fully there yet, but in the absence of any sort of real viable resistance against that sort of initiative, against that sort of encroachment, you're just going to see the Israeli society completely be overtaken by the dudes that you're seeing spitting on the fucking Christians and shit. And yes, a big part of this, or if not the most consequential aspect of this societal change, stems from Israeli society and its broad inability to address its settler colonial occupation in its history, and also its ongoing genocide in Gaza. And because they never address or even seek to look at that contradiction, and they only continue to advocate for more death and destruction as a belligerent nation in this region, the more reactionary they get year over year, and they don't even fucking realize it. They just think, oh, well, they're angry at us because they're anti-Semitic. Is it possible that Israel will progressively be more and more separated from Jews outside of Israel, and Israeli Judaism will be seen as a completely different thing? There is a generational opportunity. Yes, I think that's already happening for my generation and younger, for sure. I think that is already a significant attitude shift. I'm not just talking about like the anti-Zionist Jews. I'm talking like straight up people that feel a sense of shame for associating with Israel. I mean, there's so much. The very fact that there is an incredible network designed to constantly churn out new American Jews in the West to go and like live in Israel through birthright, through a Jewish camp and all these other like Jewish institutions of learning, and yet they still fail. They still fail to succeed with this generation. Gives me hope that I think there will definitely be. I mean, I think from this generation onward, like I don't think Israel will ever truly recover and
Over it.
And bring in a new crop of American Jews into the Zionist camp.
Drop site, and here at Breaking Points, we have obtained quite an interesting document. This is the results of a number of private focus groups done around the world, paid for by the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
This is Israel's propaganda operation, but yeah. The implications are immediate. Here, this is like the fertility rate. Jewish demographer warns the threat of disappearance of so-called Israel. Head of the Shoresh Institute, Professor Dan David, warns of strategic... Patrick Ben David. Patrick Ben David. Professor Dunn Ben David. Professor of Valuetainment at the Shoresh Institute of Valuetainment says... He warns the strategic threat to the existence of Israel. His forecast, high birth rates combined with collapsing education quality could push the state into economic and military breakdown. Fertility rate in Israel is 2.9 children per woman, more than twice the OECD average. Okay, this is true. But the highest birth rate is in the ultra-Orthodox sector, 6.5 children per woman. Half of Haredi men don't work, and those who do earn less than half the national average. According to demographer Gilad Malach, the GDP loss from ultra-Orthodox male non-participation is 54 billion shekels, $14.6 billion USD per year. By 2065, cumulative losses could hit 6.7 trillion shekels, which is 1.8 trillion USD. This is what I meant when I said Israel is cooked in and of itself for this reason as well. About half of the children occupied Palestine and Israel are educated at global periphery standards, especially in ultra-Orthodox schools and peripheral Jewish areas where boys skip core subjects entirely. When education lags behind birth rate, the state slides towards low-income world economic status. For Israel, that means it becomes impossible to fund both its army and its bloated social systems. The implications are immediate. A ballooning demographic that rejects conscription and drains resources, shrinking tax base feeding higher welfare costs, erosion of the tech military age that sustains the Zionist war machine, recruitment gaps, brain drain, and budget wars already hitting the IDF. This is why the academic boycott is so consequential, is so significant, because it's like when there are art boycotts and academic boycotts, you basically starve Israel of its its capacity to do any sort of brain drain whatsoever from a bunch of Jews that live in the Western world and all around the world, rather. And it no longer has that same like communication and back and forth, because every aspect of Israeli society is feeding into the settler colonial entity. It's feeding into the machine of a genocide and apartheid. And therefore, when people understandably want to forcibly sever ties for these things that I just mentioned, all of a sudden it becomes, it no longer can present itself as like a Western aligned nation, you know, this Riviera in a sea of barbaric, scary, monstrous, rapist, decapitators that are, you know, Muslim countries. Isn't that a good thing? Well, it's only a good thing if Israel recognizes this this devastation and stops behaving like it has since its inception. That's the entire point. The entire point of these sorts of boycotts and divestment initiatives isn't to like do revenge on the Jewish society of Israel. The reason for why these initiatives are launched is so that they stop doing the violence and offer dignity, humanity, sovereignty to the Palestinians, offer restitution to the Palestinians. So obviously they're not invested in doing that whatsoever because they're so horny for blood and murder and destruction. But yeah, that is going to cause the inevitable demise of Israeli society as we know it and as we understand it. It's already played a formative role in tarnishing the good reputation of Israel for the past multiple decades, right? Or not even the multiple decades, but like for the past 8 decades, they basically, Hasanabi, it's not Muslim either. Shut the fuck up, man. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Muslim, okay? God damn, I'm fucking Turkish, dude. I'm Muslim. I'm Turkish. Shut the fuck up. I'm speaking English right now, okay? Jesus Christ. Oh, I can't believe you're not saying Muslim. Oh my God. Who the fuck actually is me on this shit? Like, what the fuck? Why don't you say Muslim? Why don't you say Muslim? In Turkey, we say Müslüman, okay? Müslüman. Yeah, I can't believe I got the fucking haram police in the chat. Like, what is going on? Language, though, that's a valid comment. No, man, it's not. It's not a fucking valid comment. What the fuck? Müslüman. Is that what you want me to say every time? Even Caroline says Muslim, right? By the way, not Muslim. I'm Muslim! The fuck? Shut up! What is going on? Why are white Americans telling me how to say fucking Muslim? Shut up! I'm saying it in English. So is Caroline. ... soon, inshallah. Wait, you didn't say inshallah. You said inshallah. That's fucked up. We replaced vegans with the haram police. No, I banned a vegan earlier today. He kept spamming. He kept spamming over and over again. Will you try once a week? I just asked the Grand Mufti of Brooklyn, and he said that it can be forgiven if you say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. There you go. We fixed it. Anyway. Recruitment gaps, brain drain, budget wars already hitting the IDF. This is a self-inflicted siege. The entity is rotting from within while Gaza and the resistance bleed from without. This threat is no distant forecast. It's in motion now. I don't even think this is copium. I think this is reality. By the way, because like some people do engage in copium where they say like, oh, Israeli society will collapse any day now. And I don't think so, because their anger, their resentment, and their hatred for Muslims, their hatred for the Palestinians keeps society together. And it would probably be far easier to collapse Israeli society in the absence of permanent war. Like if the dust were to be settled, and if the genocide were to be put on pause, then Israeli society could truly actually collapse. But as long as there is like a beating heart of fascism, a singular focus that Israeli society can focus on, then they're fine. And that singular focus is like the complete evisceration of all Palestinians, this revenge mission that they're on. So that's part of the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu continues this genocide as well. Because, I mean, this is how it happens in fascist movements, even though they like historically fall apart before it gets to this stage. But if this is the reason why we say fascism is a suicide cult, is a suicide pact, because there has to be a permanent outgroup that you're waging war against. So if in the unimaginably unfortunate set of events that take place, and they were able to finalize this ethnic cleansing campaign, then first they would move the crosshairs immediately to what Israeli society designates as Arabs, non-Jews, Palestinian citizens of Israel specifically, and then they would eventually move on to different subcategorizations. They'd probably go back to like Mizrahi, like anti-Mizrahi sentiment. You know what I mean? But it never ends. It's like it's a never-ending a battle where the in-group shrinks and the out-group grows ever larger. Well, of course, I'm talking the surrounding Arab countries first. Of course, chatters. They would go before they did that, I'm talking like they finalized the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, and then they would move on to first southern Lebanon and more parts of Syria as well. They would inevitably try to overtake Jordan as well. But I'm saying that like eventually they would shrink the in group. You must thank Erdogan for supporting the HTS type Salafis is already influencing Turkey. Erdogan is doing that because he's a dog to America. This map presented by Finance Minister Smotrich proposes Israel annexing 82% of Judea and Samaria, has the Ministry of Defense logo on it. Yeah. Far right figure, Smotrich.
And leaked to us. So we're going to roll through some of the findings here. But to back up, the purpose of this project is clear. It is to test what messages will work for Israel going forward, particularly, quote unquote, after the war, in order to kind of try to regain some of the international legitimacy and standing that they have lost over the years. They did 15 focus groups, 6 in the United States, 3 groups each in the United Kingdom, Germany, and France. They also did what they call quantitative message testing, 8,050 total interviews, 3,250 interviews in the US, 1,200 each in UK, Germany, France, and Spain. This is to set a baseline, a starting point, to find out where people are now when it comes to their opinions on Israel. Spoiler, people in Spain do not like Israel's conduct. And then phase 3, what they call animatic testing. This is 5,600 interviews, 4,000 in the US and 1,600 in the UK and Europe, which isn't totally complete, but what by the time that this was put out. But
yeah, this has been really successful. I'm being sarcastic.
Is testing specific, what they call messages, tone, and delivery. So what are they doing? They're sitting down with people. This is very expensive work, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Millions and millions. And it's going to Stagwell Group, which is Mark Penn's firm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Mark Penn, former Clinton guy, now more of a Fox News Trump guy.
Sort of centrist.
Yeah.
Third way type,
but a
maybe.
Quirky, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
You can look him up. Go down the Mark Penn rabbit hole if you want. Yeah, he and his wife are involved with No Labels. Like They launched No Labels.
There you go. We just explained it perfectly.
Yeah, there you go. So what they do these focus groups, then they do telephone interviews, get baseline, and then they go back to people and try to figure out what can move people from their current baseline, basement level views of Israel to something that gives them some level of international legitimacy and avoids the isolation that is quite obviously coming their way. To short circuit and get right to the chase, effectively what they recommend is ramping up Islamophobia. They argue that when Israel is compared to when Israel is compared to Iran or Hamas, people generally prefer Israel to Iran or Hamas. And they also then survey people's attitudes, particularly in Europe, towards Muslim immigrants, and find that there are a lot of people in Europe who have some.
I mean, I could have told you that. Yeah, they're literally like, we can't defend Israel on the normal virtues of it being like a moral state or whatever. So the greatest way that we could defend Israel is by saying, well, it's a bulwark against like Islamo-style communism, Islamo-Gauchism, or whatever the fuck, right? For not only responding to the video, but also adding additional information about this organization that I knew about. Now, of course, that probably allows you to understand that this is not really a sincere fear that people have about doxing or whatever, but instead it's just to use as an opportunity to fucking farm some drama and clout. But the notion that like Destiny was not heavily involved with Progressive Victory is of course incorrect. He himself has admitted that he was like playing a formative role in Progressive Victory and all this stuff. So that was, again, like I said, aside from having Brianna Wu work with the organization, it made me believe that it wasn't super serious. Having said that, it was the FEC site directly, not Open Secrets, by the way. Okay, FEC site directly. Now, Progressive Victory has come out and released a statement. It was our PAC's FEC filing that inadvertently doxed Dylan Burns and other creators we worked with last year. Creators who use our FEC filing as a source are not at fault. We are a digital third place with a volunteer electoral organization sprinkled on top. Our goal is to become infamous for being the Democrats' greatest threat in the primary, but their greatest ally in the general. Our leadership is Dr. Zamala's, Ben J. Makes Movies, Jen Werfelerson, and many more volunteers. Progressive Voice hired Brianna Wu in a contract position in 2023 when we were new in the space and trying to make contact with more creators. We cut ties Brianna December 2023, and for good reason. So that actually gives me a little bit more confidence, okay? Because, you know, I didn't know that they had done that. But the very fact that they worked with her initially was the reason why I literally was like, I'm not touching this shit, okay? Even when they had like good opportunities. And that's why I said, like, it's more than just like being, it's not like being pro-Israel at all, or it's not just about that at all, or it's not just like a slush fund for DGG and Destiny's Orbiters, but it did turn into that at a certain point, clearly. As for Destiny, last year our media program consisted of trying to unite the audience of as many political creators as possible in order to get them to cross over onto each other's content and advertise PV's organizing program. What we quickly discovered is that most creators have very little desire to do either. With that, we scuttled our media program after the election and have not continued to mix liberal creators with our leftist values. This year, with stronger community leadership, we have doubled down on the things we are best at, building our community and helping elect candidates that they choose to support. Progressive Victory has issued a statement clarifying his role as a digital third place for political discussion and organization, basically just Democrats for gamers, while further distancing self from Destiny's orbit. DG slurpers are melting down on the replies. What is this? Doxing isn't just releasing the information, it's releasing it with malicious intent to harass or threaten. You can't absolve them of what they did, and it's gross to try. Wait, where's there evidence of malicious intent to harass or threaten? There isn't any that you would understand. What is this? I don't even know what this follow-up is. In any case, Wu was booted from Progressive Victory in January 2024. She's bizarrely still listed as a primary contact for Rebellion Pack. This is what's funny is like Rebellion Pack is Jank's pack. And I literally told Jank this as well. I was like, dude, this is crazy. You know? But the reason why I'm, the reason why I covered the Bad Empanada piece was because it's complementary to the Wired piece that was revealed, the Wired piece that was released by Taylor Lorenz that summarized the points about Progressive Victory in my coverage of the Wired piece about Chorus, talking about a multitude of different liberal and somewhat more progressive Democrat Party PACs and Democratic Party like activations that exist out there, ones that I have chosen not to work with or chosen to work with in the past. So that's the reason why I covered it. And in the process of covering that, I did not actually engage in any sort of fucking doxing. That's an utterly ridiculous accusation to launch, one that doesn't even one that's not even worthy of dignifying nor even attempting to defend, because it's such a fucking insane statement to make, that I think falls on its own without even a little bit of scrutiny applied in that direction. Having said that, though, what a lot of these content creators were doing when they were trying to manufacture drama was to say that I was doing that because the video itself featured FEC filings, which is not only publicly available information, but it has people's first names, last names, and also their zip code. That's it. So it's basically like saying, "Oh, Hassan, you doxed yourself when you said you're Hassan Piker from West Hollywood, California, Los Angeles." That's not. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. FEC filings are obviously public for a good reason. It's public so you know who's funding what. Like, that's it. I don't know. Speaking legalese to say you're going to jail. I love this man, dude. How the fuck do people... Twitch openly allowing what appears to be prima facie criminal electronic harassment and cyberstalking, California Penal Code. What? I don't understand. Golden Boy is untouchable. Edit. He thinks it's untouchable. It's his Icarus moment. I don't understand why people just like will believe a fucking fake lawyer just because they oh my God.